The standoff on Mount Carmel is severely asymmetrical. On one side, King Ahab stands with 850 state-sponsored prophets, 450 dedicated to Baal and 400 to Asherah, supported by Queen Jezebel. On the other side, Elijah stands alone as the final vocal prophet of Yahweh. This high-angle view from Mount Carmel overlooks the Mediterranean Sea, where coastal storms originate. Elijah chose this location to make the conflict as sharp as possible. Rain or lightning will sweep in from these waters, the exact domain of Baal. Elijah ignores the 850 prophets for a moment to confront the Israelites directly. He asks how long they plan to limp between two opinions, demanding they choose a side. He sets the rules for a definitive test. Both sides will prepare a bowl on an altar, but they will set no fire to it. Whichever God answers by dropping a lightning bolt to ignite the sacrifice is the true God. This test targets the logical fallacy of the divided mind. You cannot mix the transactional rituals of a nature god with the absolute, undivided devotion required by Yahweh. God is looking for a loyalty that admits no rivals. Ancient paganism is a deliberate attempt to manipulate natural forces to supply human needs. It is a worldview built on leverage rather than relationship. Humans have a natural impulse to put faces on chaotic natural forces. By humanizing the rain, wind, or soil, we feel we can negotiate. We provide offerings, expecting the environment to provide for us. But Yahweh exists outside this physical world. He cannot be manipulated or controlled like a hollow idol. While the ancient world used statues, modern paganism uses materialistic and physical systems to achieve the same end. We still try to manipulate our environment to satisfy our desires, rather than placing our trust in the Creator. The conflict on Mount Carmel is a choice between a life of constant manipulation and a life of total surrender. Elijah's test will show that only one of these paths leads to an answer. The prophets of Baal begin their frantic appeal. They dance wildly around their altar for hours, shouting and screaming to get their God's attention. Their desperation is rooted in their theology. They believe Baal dies every autumn and descends into the underworld. If he doesn't return in the spring, the rains stop and the people die. To force his return, they perform a funeral ritual. They slash themselves with swords, hoping their visible grief and blood moves their God to act. They are attempting to bribe Baal with their devotion and pain. It is a final, desperate effort to convince him that he is loved, so that he might return and end the drought. Elijah mocks their silence, suggesting their God is traveling, or perhaps even in the bathroom. This is the end result of reducing the divine to a human level. You are left with a God who can be distracted, busy, and ultimately unable to answer. Elijah takes the opposite approach. He has the people drench his altar, the wood, and the sacrifice with water 3 times over, until the surrounding trench is overflowing. He makes the fire humanly impossible. Elijah offers no rituals or frantic babbling. He approaches the altar with a simple, straightforward prayer rooted in the past and focused on the future. He invokes the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel. His prayer seeks to validate his authority as a servant, and most importantly, to turn the hearts of the people back to the truth. The lightning bolt falls. It is so intense that it vaporizes the meat, the wood, and the stones of the altar, and even the dust, drying up every drop of water in the trench. This demonstration shows that power does not come from manipulative rituals. It comes from an absolute surrender to the God who was already faithful. The people of Israel finally abandon their indecision. They fall prostrate and declare that Yahweh alone is God. With the spiritual conflict resolved, the physical drought ends. Heavy, dark clouds roll in from the Mediterranean Sea, and Elijah warns King Ahab to flee across the valley before the downpour turns the ground into a swamp. Ahab races his chariot towards Jezreel, but Elijah tucks his cloak into his belt and sprints. Driven by the power of God, he outruns the king's horses through the gathering storm. This requirements or undivided loyalty is what the biblical text calls a perfect heart. It is a heart completely devoted to God, with no ifs and no ands and no rival loyalties. The choice remains the same for us today. We can continue the exhausting, silent cycle of trying to manipulate the world to satisfy ourselves, or we can surrender to the God who wants